Hi friends, I'm Jocelyn Peters and I'm the maker behind Mountain Song Designs. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about a design I have coming up very soon this week, as well as some other fun knitting stuff and a really special book at the end. So let's get to it. Brand new pattern alert! The Coffee and a Sunrise Socks comes out this week in just a few days. So if you're watching it, it may already be out. This is, oh my gosh, this has been such a fun pattern. I've knit so far 7 of these socks because they're cute and they're fun. I've been trying out different things, but here we go. This is the side view. It's a shorty sock. The yarn is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper. This gorgeous sunny yellow is called Sunny Side Up. The brown is Breaking Ground and the purple is Moonstone. I love these. Let me show you from the front how the lace looks. You can see the sunrises with the rays of the sun coming up. And look at these coffee cups. Across the top, there are coffee cups, and here across the bottom, there are coffee cups. This is all made with lace. It is not complicated lace. There might be a few stitches that you may not have come across if you have only done very simple lace, but you'll catch on so quickly. I don't like overcomplicated knitting very often. Sometimes I do. You've seen some of the projects I've worked on if you've watched this channel before. But on socks especially, I like something that I can take with me and go and pay some attention to. So it's interesting, but nothing that's going to make me have to rip back. At least, hopefully not. You never know. But this also has a rounded toe. I love a rounded toe. Standard toes are just fine, but a rounded toe is just so pretty. And this heel, check out this heel. Look at the bottom of this foot. Look at that. It is like a standard heel flap, but then the slip stitches go along to the bottom of the sock, so it ends up being reinforced. And I wanted a pretty way to close that in, so the decreases are on the bottom of the foot. And look at it from the side here. Look at that. Doesn't that just make such a pretty line? I love this heel. So that is my Coffee and a Sunrise sock, coming out Thursday, June 8th, 2023. And I want to share with you the inspiration for Coffee and a Sunrise. First of all, I love coffee and sunrises are beautiful. But also my cousin is Charles Wesley Godwin. He is an up-and-coming country singer and songwriter. And on his first album called Seneca, he has a song called Windmill, Keep on Turning. And pretty much all of his music, I could probably say all of his music, revolves around West Virginia and the mountains and the history. And coming from West Virginia myself, I really appreciate that, and I find a lot of inspiration in his lyrics. And one of his lyrics from Windmill Keep on Turning is, "Coffee and a sunrise is a sight to see in fall. All the dancing leaves and chilly breeze will help you forget it all." And it's just a lovely, catchy song. It'll get in your ear and stay there. But I thought, what a wonderful idea, and how can I put that into socks? And that's what I came up with. So I hope that you enjoy this. If you follow me on Instagram, Mountain Song Designs, I'll post it there when it's released. Also, if you follow my Substack, if you subscribe to my Substack, I'm also Mountain Song Designs on Substack. I'm planning to have an even bigger discount if you are following me there, but only for the first weekend. So if you subscribe, you will hear about it there first, and make sure you get there on time. So that is the sock. Oh, for sizes, standard adult sizing, but also one size smaller. So the standard 7, 8, 9-inch circumference of the sock, but I also have a 6-inch, which I find works really well for kids' feet. I have one here. Now this is not in the sample yarn. I used a self-striping acrylic that I had. This has not been blocked. Acrylic doesn't block as well. I love merino because it'll block really well, but it's adorable. Look at this cute little sock. So that'll fit kiddos' feet for a while. So you should fit most of the family with this sock pattern. So that is the sock pattern. I may insert a few pictures here. The next project I'd like to share with you is actually a pattern that I'm working on now. It's about to go into tech editing and testing, but check this out. I love a good self-striping yarn, and this is mustache yarn. I love Stacy's yarn. It's gorgeous. Look at this. That is lavender apple blossom colorway. Oh, it's just so pretty, and it always sells out really fast because it is so gorgeous. And then for my heels, toes, and cuffs, I have Breaking Ground Leading Men Fiber Arts. Yes, you saw it over there. But I just thought it was really pretty together in a nice grounding color for all of this riot of color. Has a nice, on this side is plain, but this side has this lovely lace detail, and it'll be mirrored on both socks. I'm calling it the Echo Lodge socks. Who knows what Echo Lodge is? It's from a book, and lavender is a clue, and apple blossoms is a clue, and this lace that meanders, maybe bounces back and forth, that's also a clue. Who knows what book Echo Lodge comes from? Now, if you've been reading my Substack posts, I've already quoted this book twice in 2 different posts because I've loved it since I was young, and some of you I would expect have too. So if you think you know where Echo Lodge comes from, leave it in the comments. But that is what I'm working on. I have the first one done. I've already started working on the second one. And look at these colors. Aren't they just gorgeous? Oh, I love mustache, and this is just so pretty. So this is what I am currently working to get done, and it'll be out in a month, about a month. So you'll see this a few more times before it comes out. So that's the next thing. If you are a test knitter for knitting, obviously a test knitter, and you're interested in test knitting for me, I have a form that is linked in the description. It's always in my link tree. If you go to Instagram, if you follow me on there, it's in my bio in that. So you're welcome to join us. It's fun. We do it on Discord, and it's a really nice small community. Tight-knit community where we test patterns and talk knitting. It's lovely. So if you'd like to join us there, fill out the Google form for that. And I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Sorry, just kidding. I'm not quite ready to move on. The heel on the Echo Lodge socks. If you have knit my Fade into Neverland socks, it's the same kind of heel. It's a toe-up sock with the fit of a traditional heel flap and gusset. It's really cool. Here is the original from, here you go, from the sample. These are both Lolodidit yarns, Plush sock and Lo-riginal, Irish Blessing and Sassneck and Walkers and Blood. This is a fun pattern. It's available on my Etsy, MTN Song Designs, and Ravelry, Jocelyn Peters Designs. You can get that now. But this, my new pattern is it's this very similar heel, but you might have noticed it has complementary colors for heels, toes, and cuffs, and it has to be done a little differently than the original pattern. So that's what I wanted to add. Sorry, I forgot that. Now I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Now let's talk about WIPs. In episode 6, how I Dave Ramsey'd my WIPs, I talked about how last year I worked through my giant WIP collection and got it down to a much more manageable amount. So if you're interested in how I did that, check out episode 6 on YouTube, or head over to Substack, and it's on there, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Also, I'm Mountain Song Designs on Substack. I don't remember if I said that. But I have been working on the Naomh shawl that I have been sharing with you the last few times. And I got to thinking, and I thought, if I am doing this the way I say I'm doing it with my Det snowball, but my WIP snowball, then I really should be working on my Garter Squish blanket, because I can get it done in less time. I have 4.5 feet of Garter goodness all done. Now, the Garter Squish blanket is by Stephen West. I am using the same 2 colors held together the whole time. It is Caron 1 Pound. I don't have the exact colorways written down, but good blue and gold for the Mountaineers. Go West Virginia. And I love this because there's this great I-cord edging with all this lovely garter in between. Now, I only have 1.5 feet left, so that's about 48 rows, I think. So I should be done with this in a month. That's my goal. I've decided I need to get it done. I can keep on working on designs and all those other things, but this I can get done in a month, no problem. And then once this is done, I'll go back to my lace shawl and chug away at that too. But something that I love about an I-cord edging with garter is that when you have your ends to weave in, if you stop at your edge, it's so much easier to hide those tails inside the I-cord edging. You can weave it in. I don't condone knotting, but I might occasionally do it. And it's easy to hide that in an I-cord edge, much easier than it is to hide in your ribbing. Of course, you can weave in ends on ribbing, but in my experience, that tends to work better when there is a right side and a wrong side. They're like a shawl that you can always wear with the right side out, or a sweater or something like that. But with a blanket, I don't often do, this is the right side and that's what I'll use. Especially with garter, you can't tell unless you really look for those ends, and I don't have time for that. So I love this I-cord edging. I can hide my ends and it'll be easy as long as I end right there on the edge. So I'm ready to join my next ball. Well, it's not a ball, it's huge skein of the blue, and I'm getting close to ready for the gold to add in the new ball. But that is the WIP I'm working on, Garter Squish by Stephen West. Next, I would like to share with you what I'm wearing. This is a knit that I worked on about 3 years ago. It comes from a magazine, from Laine Magazine, Volume 2. Here it is, and I knit the one on the cover. You know it's good if it's on the cover, right? So I really enjoyed knitting this cardigan. It is called Utu by Anna Johanna, or Anna Johanna. Probably Anna Johanna. And like I said, Laine Magazine, Volume 2. It is from Spring, Summer 2017. I also knit the second pattern in this magazine. Here it is. Here's the one I'm wearing. These are gorgeous pictures in this magazine. I just love it. Here, if you want to see the back, it carries this detail all the way along the back of the yoke. It's really lovely, and the way it's written is as a fade, and I will talk about how I did mine in just a second. I also want to show you the Uho, I think, or Ujo. I made this too, by Anka Strick. I made it with a really pretty speckle yarn, the King Neptune from Lolodidit. Now this is Leading Men Fiber Arts in Moonstone. Now, I want to talk about why I love hand-dyed yarn. Because this is also Moonstone. And you can tell that this is a much more saturated color than this is. Now, my skeins came in, it's hand-dyed yarn, so it's never going to be exactly the same. So I ordered them from lightest to darkest. Now, lightest to darkest is relative, because technically it's not that much lighter. It's a very light difference, but I didn't feel like having to alternate 3 skeins and deal with the variations that you kind of have with that. And I figured if I just went from lighter to darker, it would all come out and it would be lovely. And it is. I felt such joy as I knit with this colorway. Again, it's Moonstone. I believe this is Showstopper as well, similar to that. It might be, I think it's Showstopper, but it's all lovely and soft, and I have really enjoyed this. Now, I will say one thing about the pattern, that if I made it again, which I might because I really like it, one thing I would change, and it's the button band. You can tell that this is rolling under. I really like the construction of the button band. I think it's really interesting. I think I would add stitches at the beginning so that it would end up being an inch wide instead of, it's probably 1/3 of an inch. It's a really pretty thing. And then you don't have to go back in and pick up stitches, but that's another option. Instead of doing the button band as is written, just knit and maybe do a single slip stitch up the edge and then go back in and pick up a button band ribbing for about 1 inch up both sides, and that would be lovely too. I don't know. I would probably try doing it with this because it's a really cool construction. But I don't know, that is the one thing that I might reconsider. Now, other people may not have an issue with it. I did. So now about this volume 2. I'll show it to you again. Laine Magazine Volume 2. There is not a pattern in this book that I would refuse to knit. That doesn't happen very often. Usually there's at least 1 or 2 that I'm like, there's no way. There are a few in here that I might not prefer to, but if I did, it would be fine because it's all pretty. There are, let's see, I think it was last time I shared my brioche shawl Rebel by Leslie Ann Robinson. She has a brioche shawl in here. It's very pretty. There are some really nice sweaters that are easy to wear, but also really, really pretty. Let's see, socks, pretty socks. Ooh, the Birkin, I have almost cast this on a few times. I think it's so pretty. Here's Leslie Ann Robinson's Unda, I guess, Unda. Pretty brioche. A lightweight, airy cardigan. I don't tend to knit 2 strands together with mohair and those types of yarns, but you know, I would consider it. It's beautiful and it looks like it would be easy to wear. Here is an Andrea Mowry Birds of a Feather shawl. I've almost cast this on a few times. I have some yarn that in my stash that I think would look really lovely in this. And there's also a bit about Andrea Mowry. short article about her. This also has a mini tour of Helsinki and some really lovely looking recipes, which I like to call patterns for food. I think of it all as a pattern. Let's see if I can find it, because these pancakes, you guys, they look so good. Here we go. Well, here's the first page. Well, I probably shouldn't show that, but look at that salad. Even the salad looks gorgeous. These pancakes, oh my gosh. Look at that. And it even gives you the pattern or recipe for that strawberry topping. Oh my goodness, it makes me hungry. But they're beautiful. Oh, look at these pictures. Look. Just beautiful photography. And in the patterns are all together at the end, which is really nice. They're well laid out. At the beginning of each pattern, there is an ink line and watercolor version of the pictures that they use at the beginning. So at the beginning, you can flip through, see all of the patterns, read the meaty stuff. There are a few other articles in there. And then at the back, it keeps all of the patterns together, well laid out, which I really appreciate. Sometimes it's hard to flip through magazines to figure out what all is in it and where the patterns are. And I really appreciate the layout of this magazine. So that is my Utu cardigan, and from Lena Volume 2. So last thing, we will talk about a book that I read. Here we go. All right, we're going to end today chatting about a really great book. But first, I'm drinking tea today, and this tea is really cool. I got it as a Christmas present. I still have it, but I'm going through it. Novelties. It's so cute because each of these tags has a quote from a book. This one is, "The more that you read, the more that you know, the more that you learn, the more places you go," by Dr. Seuss. And there are a variety of different books that they quote, but it's really lovely tea. So now let's talk about the book. Switchboard Soldiers. Have you heard of this book? It's been out for about a year. It is by Jennifer Chiaverini, I think is how she says her name. It's so lovely. I borrowed it from the library. I borrowed the audiobook, but this is a book that I would buy because it is really, really good. And apparently she has written 40 books. 32 of them are historical fiction, so I will definitely be checking more of them out. The writing is really lovely, and it tells the story of the switchboard soldiers. We all know what a switchboard is, the form of communications around the 1900s, and these women, who were the switchboard soldiers, served in World War I, and they served the Americans and the French, and they really helped win the war. It tells the story of a few of the women who were real people, who were actually these women who served, and it adds in a few characters that represent the many other varied types of women who served as well. I love Marie because she is a singer, and I can understand to a certain extent her experience. I was a trained singer in my studies, and so I understand that from a perspective, and that's not something that you read about very often. So I enjoy coming across singers in books, and also I enjoy knowing the songs that they're talking about, and that's fun. So lovely characters. Marie was not the only interesting character. There were a variety of interesting characters, and it talked about the war. I mean, it was a nice review for those of us who maybe don't know all the specifics of World War I. I know a few details. And actually, I read a book, I believe it was called Last Christmas in Paris. I read that maybe a year or two ago, and it's another lovely World War I book. It's written differently. That one is through letters, but it brings that time period to life. It lets you understand what they went through reading it. And it's just a really, really beautiful homage to these women who played such an important role in the war. And it also puts in perspective why women in the United States were granted the right to vote not long after. Part of that reason is because of the women who served as the switchboard soldiers. So women in America have even more to thank from them. Also, if you're interested in this, I have not had a chance to listen to all of it, but I listened to just a little bit. On YouTube, the Hudson Library and Historical Society has an interview with Jennifer Chiaverini, and what I listened to was really interesting. I would like to listen to even more of it. And also, did I say this? She's a quilter, and so she has quilting pattern books, and that's included in her books, so I'm going to have to look up her quilting novels as well. So if you're looking for it's a fairly easy listen. It moves well, it's well written, and it's really engaging. And you feel like you're learning something. So killing two birds with one stone. If you're interested in it, definitely check it out. Again, it's Switchboard Soldiers. So that is it for my book review for today. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you're new, thanks for checking me out and for sticking out to the end. You can also find me on Instagram, Mountain Song Designs, Substack, Mountain Song Designs, Ravelry, Jocelyn Peters Designs, and Etsy, MTN Song Designs. So until next time, Sláinte and happy knitting.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads.